Special elections coming to the Brazos Valley. We have the latest on the amendments you'll be casting your votes on. And a new program giving nurses a virtual training head start before heading out in the professional world. Your KRHD News starts right now.
Connecting the Brazos Valley. This is KRHD News.
Bryan police are searching for a suspect wanted for robbery. Video from a convenience store on March 4th shows a suspect displaying a gun to the store clerk. Shortly after, the suspect fled the scene with an undermined amount of cash. Anyone with information should contact Bryan police at 979-209-5300. The longtime editor for The Eagle, Darren Benson, has been laid off from the newspaper. Benson was an editor for The Eagle for 16 years. He saw the paper named the Texas Associated Press Managing Editor's Newspaper of the Year under his leadership. Life Enterprises, the owners of The Eagle and other local newspapers, have laid off several top editors across the country in an effort to cut costs. Benson's role will be outsourced to the Waco Tribune-Herald's team. Yesterday, early voting opened up once again in Brazos County ahead of May 7th for the special election. Folks can vote for two state of Texas propositions as well as two Brazos County propositions regarding service districts number 3 and 4 concerning the local and use tax, sales tax. For those looking to participate in early voting for the election, voters should already be registered and will be required to bring a valid form of identification. More counties in the Brazos Valley have special elections underway. In Burleson County, Snook, Somerville, and Caldwell ISD school boards have open seats up for election. Votes must be casted for those propositions by May 7th. For those wanting to know more on the candidates in Caldwell, the community is planning a candidate forum for April 28th at the Caldwell Civic Center. Are you headed to the polls on May 7th? Two amendments to the Texas Constitution have been proposed. KRHD News reporter Rebecca Fiedler discusses how these amendments could affect property taxes and public schooling.
The first proposition reduces how much the elderly and/or homeowners with disabilities would pay in property taxes to public schools. The second proposition increases the amount of property tax exemptions a person can receive. The reaction from local political leaders is mixed.
I support the concept of lower taxes, clearly, but I'm quite concerned that the legislature only came up with a short-term answer to how to make up for the lost revenue.
There is a level of administrative bloat in public schools, and the issue is no longer how much money they receive, but how it's being spent.
Both parties are concerned that not enough Brazos Valley voters will go to the polls. For more information on how and when to get to the polls, visit brazosvotes.org. Reporting in Bryan College Station, Rebecca Fiedler, KRHD News.
A federal judge plans to prevent the Biden administration from lifting Title 42 next month. More than a dozen states signed onto a lawsuit asking a judge to prevent the administration from lifting the public health rule that allowed the government to expel immigrants and asylum seekers during the pandemic. A summary of the closed court hearing stated the parties will confer regarding the specific terms to be contained in the temporary restraining order and attempt to reach agreement. News of the ruling came as a congressional delegation, including House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who visited the Texas-Mexico border. Members spent the day in the Del Rio sector. They heard directly from U.S. Customs agents, DPS, and the Texas Army National Guard. These departments explained how they're handling the crisis at the border and how they were preparing for an influx in migrants once Title 42 is eliminated.
We ask them what their plan will be. No plan is given. We hear Democrats on the other side of the aisle say that we should not lift it. They have the ability to say more than just words. They can vote.
Along with others, McCarthy was accompanied by Texas Representatives Tony Gonzalez, Randy Weber, Chip Roy, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Over 120,000 pounds of ground beef have been recalled by the U.S. Department of Agriculture over E. coli contamination concerns. The recall items were produced from February 1st to April 8th. If you think you may have affected products in your refrigerator or freezer, check the USDA mark of inspection for establishment number 46841. Should you have any of the recalled beef, throw out or return it to where you bought it. No confirmed cases of E. coli from these items have been reported yet. It's not just food getting more expensive. The oil you use to cook with is also impacting your wallet. Cooking oil prices have been rising worldwide since the COVID-19 pandemic began, and Russia's war in Ukraine has sent those costs skyrocketing. Ukraine and Russia are the world's top exports of sunflower oil. People in some countries are facing limits on how much vegetable oil they can buy at the grocery store. Restaurants that rely on cooking oil are also being forced to raise prices for customers. In a move that could reshape social media, Elon Musk's offer to buy Twitter for $44 billion was accepted by the company. ABC News' Rianne Alley tells us what this means for Twitter and its users.
A blockbuster mega deal many initially thought was a stunt, sending shockwaves around the world. Tesla founder Elon Musk on track to take the wheel of Twitter in a $44 billion all-cash takeover of the social media company.
Twitter has become kind of the de facto town square.
Musk tweeting he wants to make Twitter better than ever, adding that the platform has tremendous potential. Pending the sale's approval by regulators, Musk says he plans to take the company with 200 million users around the world private. Shareholders will receive $54.20 for every share they own. That's nearly 40% more than what the stock was worth at the beginning of April. Twitter founder and ex-CEO Jack Dorsey giving the deal a thumbs up, writing, "Twitter is the closest thing we have to a global consciousness. It has been owned by Wall Street and the ad model. Taking it back from Wall Street is the correct first step." But Elon Musk critics are slamming the news and sharing concerns over giving one person power over the global megaphone. Musk has been open about making Twitter more transparent, saying he'll make the algorithm public and possibly bring back banned accounts, kick bots off the platform, and give users an edit button, something he addressed at a recent TED conference.
I think you'd only have the edit capability for a short period of time. And probably the thing to do upon the edit would be to zero out all retweets and favorites.
Musk is the world's richest person thanks to Tesla and SpaceX. Now, if approved, will be Twitter's new owner, likely in the next 6 to 9 months. Many are questioning whether former President Trump will be allowed back on Twitter under Elon Musk's leadership. But Trump issued a statement shortly before the deal was announced saying he won't return to the platform. Rianne Alley, ABC News, New York.
The Brazos Valley Food Bank will be receiving a $2 million grant from the Texas Department of Agriculture. It's the largest amount of funding the food bank has received in 5 years. Executive Director Teresa Mangapora says the organization will be using the money to expand their infrastructure through purchasing additional trucks, refurbishing their facilities, and installing new cold storage spaces. Texas A&M University is no stranger to integrating virtual reality into education, and now VR has made its way into a new nursing program. The Texas A&M College of Nursing has introduced virtual reality to nursing students. This will help them gain hours of experience in patient care through VR simulations. Since launching in early 2020, nursing majors have had the option of 2 immersive simulations. Students have virtually explored the world of patient care, forensic nursing and screening, briefing intervention, and referral to treatment or SBRT.
It really helps increase confidence levels, especially with that screening, brief, intervention, referral to treatment type of situation. Some of those questions can be a little bit personal and are difficult to ask, especially when you're asking somebody to admit if they have an issue with substance abuse or misuse.
The VR nursing simulations were designed and created through a collaboration with students in the Texas A&M School of Visualization and Architecture.
Delta Airlines will now pay flight attendants during boarding. The newsfeed starts with today's announcement, making a first for a U.S. carrier. The move comes amid a unionization drive. Delta is the only major airline whose flight attendants aren't unionized. Fidelity will offer investors the option to put Bitcoin in their 401ks by the middle of this year. Now, as the nation's largest retirement plan provider, its decision could make crypto even more popular and mainstream. Regulators have cautioned against mixing cryptocurrencies in 401ks. Volatility is among their concerns. Double Olympic snowboarding champion Chloe Kim will sit out this upcoming season to focus on her mental health. Kim says she just wants to enjoy the moment, take it all in, and take a break. She says she'll chase after a third medal when she's feeling ready. Well, anti-Semitic incidents reached an all-time high in the U.S. last year. The Anti-Defamation League released those findings today. There were more than 2,700 incidents of assault, harassment, and vandalisms against the Jewish community. That's averaging more than 7 incidents a day. Many of them happened around the time of war between Israel and Hamas. But experts say there's been a rise in hate crimes against all groups throughout the pandemic.
This isn't something that we should consider, oh, let's let this blow over once the COVID-19 happens, once COVID-19 is over, but it's something that really we should take into consideration and try to figure out how do we respond to this so that it prevents such similar incidents from taking place in the future.
The report found there were increases in anti-Semitic attacks in a number of places. Jewish community centers, synagogues, as well as colleges, with the largest rise at K-12 schools.
But it's also a problem that schools need to figure out how to address, because kids that are so young in age, that are so vulnerable, are unlikely to go straight to a police officer. They're more likely to go to a trusted friend or a trusted teacher or a trusted principal. And so it's important for schools and colleges and universities to start thinking about who should these kids go to? What does the reporting process look like? And should it reach the level of a crime, let's make sure it does absolutely go to law enforcement.
Janice Iwama studies hate crimes. She says they're underreported and often just reported as violence if a victim comes forward. She says people think it's only happening in bigger cities, but that's actually where there is the most cooperation between local law enforcement, local Jewish communities, and organizations like the ADL.
We already noticed that there's some trends with the FBI reporting that some law enforcement agencies no longer want to report hate crime data, which is a huge concern for us, because the FBI hate crime data allows us to better understand the size and scope of the issue in order to address it and create some evidence-based practices that simply focus on those targeted areas.
Taking a look outside, you can see on our Clark Roofing cam, things are pretty quiet. Just a few clouds here and there, but non-rain producing clouds, and we're not anticipating much in the way of rain, probably for the rest of the week around here as things have dried out. There are still some clouds down to our south, and some of those clouds will start to creep back to the north as we head through the next 24 hours or so. You can already see those creeping back here across West Texas as winds will be going from the northeast and then steadily coming back from the southeast and pushing into the area. And taking a look at our future track, you can see some of those clouds out there, and that will continue on into tomorrow morning. You can see mostly cloudy skies for us. Then we'll break out to partly cloudy skies as we head into Wednesday afternoon. And it looks like any rain chances are staying away from the area, and things will be quiet for us. So tonight, temperatures will be dipping down into the 50s. This is even showing some 40s as you head across our northeastern areas. That could be a little overdone, but still, it'll be on the cooler side tonight. And then tomorrow, highs will begin the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. as we start to warm up across the region. And looking at your forecast, those temperatures going to be hanging out right around 79 on Wednesday, 84 Thursday. South winds about 10 to 20 miles per hour, and those winds will stay up in that range on Friday as well, with highs into the middle 80s. We get to the weekend, I think better rain chances will be to the north and west of us, so maybe an isolated storm threat, but I think most everything's going to be okay around here. That could go up a little bit late Sunday into Monday. We'll go 40% chance for a few scattered showers and thunderstorms by then, as a complex may form to our west. And then we'll go upper 80s, maybe even touching the 90s by Thursday and Friday of next week.
With Elon Musk set to take over Twitter for $44 billion, he's talking about some major changes to the platform that could minimize the number of ads on there.
Elon Musk is like, well, you know what if we just try to change this business and actually make the business model more subscription based than really relying on advertising revenue, which has really been sort of the core business model for most social media companies.
Last year, Twitter started offering Twitter Blue, which is a $3 a month subscription. But marketing expert Adam Raziri says this never really took off because it didn't offer many additional features. If Musk privatizes the company like he wants to, there would be more room for what can be offered. However, taking the company private would also mean Musk could block business competitors from using Twitter if he wanted to. But in a tweet, Musk suggests he won't be doing this, saying, quote, "I hope that even my worst critics remain on Twitter, as free speech and less moderation are also things Musk wants for the platform."
With access, obviously, comes a different sort of layer of accountability and responsibility as well. And so with kind of loosening the guidelines or the restrictions on free speech, it's obviously going to expose a lot of brands to make a lot of mistakes, right? But at the same time, I think it's going to allow a more diversified sort of layer of messaging and communication to take place on the platform.
He says that could create a marketplace for many good ideas to take off, but also a lot of bad ones. Less moderation on speech is another approach Twitter tried to take about 10 years ago. That didn't end well. With more room for opinions also came more room for online abuse and harassment. Musk hasn't yet addressed that in his plans. Well, cities are rolling out new strategies to build more housing faster. Tomorrow, we're looking into the approach that's working to incentivize new development and create affordable housing.
World News Tonight is just ahead, and we're back in 30 minutes for KRHD News at 6. Until then, have a good evening.